and welcome to EquineInspired. My name is Sabrina, and in today's video I am going to be talking about how to correctly halt your horse without pulling. So since I ride at a commercial barn, I see a lot of different riders ride, whether they are beginner or advanced. And recently I noticed that a lot of riders tend to stop their horses just by pulling back on the reins directly towards their hips. Now there's two things wrong with just relying on the reins to halt your horse. The first is that as riders we want to make sure that we are both using and relying on our body and our seat to communicate to our horse that we want him or her to stop. And when you just pull back on the reins, you are really giving an abrupt cue to your horse. It can create a lot of communication gaps, and it can also turn you into a really hard-handed rider, which is something that we definitely do not want when we are riding. Also, if you are just pulling back on the reins to stop your horse, you're going to look like you are a really inexperienced rider, which is another thing that we do not want. And the second thing is that when you are just pulling back on those reins, you are putting a lot of pressure both in and around the horse's mouth, depending on what type of bit you use, which can inflict a lot of pain on the horse. Whenever we are riding or working with horses, we never want to inflict any pain on them. Pat Pirelli, who is a famous natural horsemanship trainer, once said, "The more you use the reins, the less they use their brains." And that is something that I always try to keep in the back of my mind, because as riders it can be easy to sometimes just get a little bit lazy and want to just rely on our reins to communicate to our horses. But in reality, we really should be using all the assets that we have to communicate to our horses in a lighter way. But there is a simple, effective, and simply correct way to halt your horse, and that is what I'm going to be going over in this video. So the first thing I'm going to say is that you should always plan your stops whenever you're riding, so that you can both mentally and physically prepare yourself to communicate that to your horse. So to stop your horse, you are first going to use your voice, secondly using your seat, and thirdly by using your hands. The first step to halting your horse is to say whoa or ho, depending on which your horse has been trained to respond to stop to. If your horse has not stopped just by the voice cue, then you are going to proceed on to the next step as quickly as you can. You want to make sure that you are doing these steps right as a second goes by, so that your horse does not have any communication gaps on what you are trying to ask him or her to do. So if your horse doesn't respond to the voice cue, then you are simply going to stop the forward movement in your body that is moving with your horse, and you're going to make your lower half of your body heavy just by breathing out and just kind of thinking about being heavy. And while you're doing that, you are going to lean back slightly on the pockets of your jeans. And if your horse has not stopped from here, then you are going to keep your hands holding your reins right where they are, and you're simply going to squeeze both reins at the same time. At the third step, your horse should have stopped, and when your horse has stopped, then you are instantly going to release that pressure and praise them. Clinton Anderson says that horses learn from the release of pressure, not from the pressure itself, and that's another thing that I always try to keep in the back of my mind when I'm riding. So you want to make sure that you're being really, really quick on that release of pressure so your horse knows that he did something correct. Alright, so that comes to the end of my video. I hope that you guys have found it helpful. Don't forget to continue practicing on your halts. Really, with horseback riding, practice does make perfect. So just continue to practice with those 3 easy steps, using your voice, using your seat, and using your hands to communicate to your horse that you want him or her to halt. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you in the next one. Happy trails, and bye. Sat back with the window down.